Final Destination Bloodlines was just released this past weekend, 14 years since Final Destination 5. The story this time around follows after plagued by a reoccurring violent nightmare. A college student returns home to find the one person who can break the cycle and save her family from the horrific fate that inevitably awaits them. Now, in case y'all didn't know, I'm a huge fan of these films. I think it's definitely up there with the Scream movies and the Evil Dead films for being the more consistent in the horror genre. I'm not a fan of the Final Destination though. I found that copy at my local DVD exchange. It came with the 3D glasses and everything, so I wondered if it would change the experience. It didn't. It was still shit, but I did notice something that I don't give the Final Destination enough credit for, and that's for making me scared of lawnmowers. I never really realized it. As shit as that film is, I always avoid lawnmowers because I'm afraid something's going to get kicked out from underneath it and hit me in the face. But if y'all haven't seen any of my other reviews on the previous films, I will be making a playlist that features all of them, so make sure to look out for that. But yes, we return to the silly franchise that traumatized an entire generation with the sheer terror of driving behind a log truck. And speaking of that log truck, the marketing for this film has been really good, as well as Warner Bros. Releasing that 4DX Experience Simulator preview. I didn't expect another Final Destination film, to be honest. I thought the ending in Part 5 was an exceptional send-off. So I was curious to see what Bloodlines was going to offer and what it was going to offer to the franchise itself, adding something new. It currently holds a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, making it the highest rated film in the entire series. And when the film ended, when I went to go see it in the theaters, everybody cheered and clapped. I don't think I saw the same movie as these people. Now, I don't think Bloodlines is a terrible film. That's not what I'm saying. But when I was watching the film, I couldn't help but compare it to the previous films. And as far as my rankings go, the only one I think it's better than is Part 4. But let's get into what I like about the film first, which is its opening Carnage Fest that takes place in a Space Needle-like tower restaurant and probably unlocks a whole bunch of new fears in the audience. Now, this scene was freaking cool. The creativeness behind the deaths and the carnage was freaking incredible. They really went all out with this dream sequence, because once that dance floor breaks, all hell breaks loose. People are getting trampled and crushed, and people are getting set on fire. It's something that had to deal with an elevator that caught me off guard. There's a death that takes place where I didn't expect the audience to cheer for, but it was well deserved. But this sequence turns out to be a vaguely defined dream of a modern college girl with a family that exists because death didn't get her pregnant grandma back in the day. The concept of this entry is a lot stronger than the previous films. The whole Death's design and Rube Goldberg style kills are a fantastic horror idea. The film has a bigger scale compared to other horror films that have been coming out in recent years, which isn't the filmmaker's fault most of the time, but the studios that fund these projects. But you can tell that Warner Bros. And New Line Cinema go all out with the budget on this one. We get a glimpse into the past. It's constantly teasing danger and keeping you guessing what Death's plan really is. For a Final Destination film, it delivers what fans want and switches things up just enough. This is easily one of the most self-aware entries in the franchise, and it totally leans into being a full-on dark comedy, which didn't always work for me personally. But what I did appreciate about it is that there's no social media plot, no cancel culture jokes, just hateful people played by unknown actors getting their heads crushed, and that's something I love about this one. It feels like one of the Final Destination films that released in the early 2000s. It embraces the insanity in a way that just feels purposeful and genuinely entertaining at times. Yes, the series has always had this playful energy to it, but this one takes it up a notch, kind of taking that Fast and the Furious route, which kind of made me underwhelmed by the end of the film. There are plenty of reasons to criticize it. The CGI, it's ass. And the blood reminded me of that Mortal Kombat movie that came out a couple of years ago. And the ending, it was just the ending of 1 and 2 mixed together. Some of the deaths are among the weakest and laziest in the franchise, probably resulting in reshoots and rewrites, but there's a few memorable ones in here as well. A really cool one that was actually shown in the trailer, when a piece of glass falls into a glass of water, blending in with the ice. And then a lawnmower freaking runs this dude over, and that whole thing was just freaking awesome. Also, new fears unlocked. Glasses of water, trampolines, MRIs, and dick piercings. I'm kidding. But I think a big flaw here for me that stuck out like a sore thumb is that the CGI killed the impact of most of the deaths. Some deaths look like a Looney Tunes cartoon, especially the one that had to deal with the garbage truck. Final Destination 3 and 5 both managed to incorporate CGI and practical gore pretty effectively, but here there's a lot of green screen backdrops that look like it was shot like a Marvel film, with CGI blood that you could tell are just special effect elements. And I think the only scene that was like that in Final Destination Bloodlines was that backyard lawnmower scene. And actually, I think that scene and the opening dream sequence were the only two scenes where I actually felt any type of tension or suspense. Another flaw that kind of boggled down the film for me was Caitlin Santa's performance. She wasn't bad, but she just didn't bring much to her role. I never got hooked to her character and honestly found the supporting cast way more interesting to follow. There's also a bit of a weird stop and go rhythm in the pacing. Most of the film moves pretty quickly and keeps things tight, but there's a few moments that drag a little too long and kind of kill the momentum. It's not a deal breaker, just something I noticed. I appreciate the film for trying to do something new, but I didn't really feel it pay off. I love how the trailer shows you a couple of things that aren't in the movie. You could tell they mess with us, not revealing a few things, and it was great. However, I thought the color grading and color palette was terrible. I'm more used to the excessive color look of the movies from the 2000s, which I mostly prefer anyways, but the movie is okay despite me disliking that modern look. What's surprising is that it came out 14 years after the 5th installment, yet that long hiatus seems to have given filmmakers enough time to truly reflect on what makes the series work. There was plenty of Easter eggs and references to deaths and characters to previous films, which I found out to be pretty cool. Don't get me wrong, there is plenty of fan service in Final Destination Bloodlines for long-term fans. Tony Todd's appearance in this movie was great, and they used him wisely enough as a good send-off to not only him as a character, but also Todd himself as an actor. This film does him justice, and his monologue was perfect and precious knowing that he was no longer with us. Life truly is precious and he will be missed. And I have to point this out because it kind of pissed me off, but spoiler alert, the youngest brother watches 5 of his relatives brutally die, only to go to prom the next week like nothing happened. That doesn't slide with death. But yeah, Final Destination Bloodlines was a mixed bag for me, but I'm just glad that we got a new Final Destination film and I still found it pretty entertaining, which is why I'm giving it 3 out of 5 stars. As long as I still got you, oh reliable. Oh!
What the fuck? That wasn't too bad.
Thank you guys as always for watching. I look forward to bringing on more videos pretty soon. Don't forget to subscribe and comment down below what movies you want me to review here on the channel next. I'm Matt, and I'll see you guys in the next video.